Matt, thank you so much for agreeing to sit down and do this interview, and thank you for throwing your hat in the ring and being willing to run for this board. It's the first time these three positions have been available. It's a new creation, first time anybody's voting in this election, and so more than anything, I just want the voters to get to hear from you, get to know you a little bit, so they know who they're voting for. So I'm happy to talk about anything you want to talk about, but I'll just start here and just say, tell me a little bit about yourself.
First off, I just want to start off with a big thank you to you and your team personally. You know, what you've done with respect to the appraisal district over the last 4 or 5 years, it's just really appreciated. And can I share my impression of what you did?
Sure. Yeah.
We have an appraisal district, and it's historically been almost unique in its ability to be non-user friendly and just plain difficult to work with. And you took action. You took action, and it's almost like a modern day Tea Party. You know, you flooded TAD with a record number of protests. I've got a long history with TAD, and I was down there during this period and, you know, making chit chat with some of the staff at the counter. And, you know, what's going on? Well, this guy he's posted 10,000 protests, which, I mean, and they're like, can you believe that? I'm like, good. But Chandler, I mean, honestly, thank you for what you did. And then almost like my jaws on the ground was TAD's response and what they did to you. It's horrifying, you know, to have senior leadership file complaints against you. It just, and again, forgive me, you know, I follow it and I kind of refreshed and followed all the steps. How did that all turn out? I mean, he went after your real estate license. He went after your livelihood. This is not right.
Yeah.
This is awful.
I didn't think it was right either. So,
well, again,
yeah, I saw it as an opportunity to get involved and expose some of the corruption, some of the stuff that I think a lot of people have experienced, but it's hard to kind of for it to come to the surface like that was a unique set of circumstances. So I just saw it as an opportunity to try and better the system.
Well, and from last I heard, the senior leadership that did that they're gone. They've been replaced, which, job well done. I want to give a little bit of my background. A couple of first iterations with the appraisal district. In 2006, I bought a home here in Southlake. It wasn't the first home that I've bought. And I noticed, oh my gosh, I paid about $50,000 less than what was on the appraisal roll. So, but having a HUD statement, which is your executed document, which states how much you paid and the money's transferred, with other appraisal districts I've worked with, it was a simple process. Just fax that in. Just fax that in and let us establish your value per what you paid. And my experience with this appraisal district, I get on the phone, talking to, I think he was a little younger staffer, got a HUD statement, can I fax it in? Well, sure, but do you have an appraisal? Well, no, I paid cash for this house. I didn't have an appraisal done. And this is what the young man says to me. Well, then how do you know you paid the right price? And I said, can you repeat yourself? I mean, what? He said, Mr. Bryant, we're not convinced that maybe you didn't pay. I said, this is an arm's length transaction. There was no duress. Got off the phone and realized I've got to go down there and protest. Uh-huh. And so Chandler, stories like that, and this is 2006. I'll share another one. 2010, I started buying foreclosure homes. And you buy a foreclosure home down at the courthouse steps, first Tuesday of every month. There's nothing more fair than an open auction. Anyone can walk up and purchase it. So, so you get what's called a trustee receipt, which just states, hey, on this day, he brought this amount of money and purchased the house. And there's your, in effect, HUD statement. So this time I didn't just call. I go down to the appraisal district. I go to the counter. I hand another guy, I remember this one. I hand it to him. And I said, all right, well, so here's a trustee receipt. And he looks at me, he's like, what's this? And he says, and he tossed it back at me. And he said, "What's this?" So I gently, well, this is a trustee receipt. And
it's my receipt for the house.
Right, is what I paid
Yeah.
for it. And mind you, I believe it was Senator Teef at the time had a missive. Appraisal districts, you are to honor what people paid for properties at foreclosure auctions. This is a fair auction. There's nothing more fair. But again, I had to take it to protest, which, if you look into it, if you to peel the onion, I mean, why would they do that? Why wouldn't they just be efficient? But I'm going to guess that they have data that says, you know what, if we make it difficult, not so many people will come down here. It's a little bit of a process, to protest and be successful to win your protest. There's a little bit of knowledge learned, and so those are my first two iterations, with this appraisal district. And you look at where we are today, and again, my notes here say don't say dumpster fire, but what's going on today? Yeah. How can it be called anything other than a dumpster fire? And you can't stop looking at it. The flames are getting higher. You got potentially Russian guys in a basement in Moscow or Leningrad kind of chuckling and asking for $1 million ransom, right?
Something like that. It's probably not too far off from the truth. Yeah.
So, obviously we have a long history, or had a long history. My history was from 2006. And then there was change finally, I guess, last year. But with that long history of poor management, wrong management, inefficient management, we're still unraveling it. So, not to go on and on about some negative stories, but I'd like to focus a little bit on maybe what's positive going on down there. We've got a new chief appraiser. Through the taxing entities, we were able to rework the board a little bit. How about this election? I mean, this election is a mandate from the great state of Texas to all populous counties. You need to add 3 elected officials. And listen, this is a good thing. Now, they didn't. I don't think our government has made this change because they're real happy with what they hear going out. They want change.
Absolutely.
They want change, and yes, our Tarrant Appraisal District is a prime one that needs change. But let me give a real positive, and this is feedback I gave to a couple of the board members last year. With all that was going on, and again, I have quite a few accounts down there that I manage personally with their staff at the counter. Never had I had better service than last year. And I think out of rank and file staff. Now, typically people in an organization, take on the persona of, the senior and the chief. But what was nice was to see kind of a change. I think they knew something was going to happen, but no, I've never had better service than I had with the appraisal district, this last year. So, and here we go again. Are we going to get appraisals out? Is the system going to be updated on April 1st like it's supposed to be? What are your thoughts?
I don't think anybody knows. I think that they're probably sweating bullets right now. We'll find out.
Well, if I was to have a plan, I mean, here's what my plan would be. Is we need to hit reset. We need to refresh. We need to repair what's broken. Things are broken down there. Again, there's not a lot of confidence. We need to restore the public's confidence, but we have to do it by performing. Not just by switching out some key positions, but we've got to see some performance. And then, yes, I do think with bringing on 3 elected officials, we're going to have more advocates for the taxpayer. Decisions made down there, I mean, you can lean towards the taxpayer, you can lean towards the taxing entity. Well, I can promise you they've been leaning towards a taxing entity. I can keep telling stories, and I know you've got 10,000 plus under your belt. No, but it's exciting that we're going to have 3 new people on there. Hopefully we elect taxpayer advocates that are going to lean towards the taxpayer rather than the taxing entity. How would I do that? I want to slow it down. Things need to be slowed down. If we can be aligned with tax code, which tax code states 2518, let's have appraisals once. Appraisals have to be done every 3 years. Now there's some, of course, other areas of tax code that get a little interesting and may lead some to believe, no, you have to do it annually. Let's evaluate. But again, the idea of slowing down and reestablishing appraisals once every 3 years, look at the problems it would solve. We'd have much less appraisals to do. We'd have 1/3 of the work. We'd have arguably 1/3 of the protest hearings, maybe give us a chance to get back on our feet. So, yes, I am interested in making changes. Not interested in getting on this board and seeing it run like it has, because no, have not been. We can do better. We can do better.
Yes, sir. Well, you're an expert at answering questions that I was going to ask. Why are you going to run, and what do you hope to accomplish, and what good is the appraisal district doing? And you've answered all those questions. You're doing great.
Good.
Let's see here. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to say that you haven't covered yet?
Well, yeah. Let me go over who I am.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm a family man. Got an amazing wife. 3 children. We're recent empty nesters. Our youngest started his freshman year in college. We're Christians. Not saying we're perfect or without fault, but in our household, we strive to be aligned with Jesus Christ every day and unashamed of it. Background relevant to board leadership. Got my Aggie ring, class of 92, mechanical engineering. Had a long career in the semiconductor industry with Texas Instruments. That taught me how to make data-driven decisions. I was in the R&D department, and we're designing the chips that go in these phones. Remember back when Dick Tracy had his magic watch?
Yeah.
And look at what these phones can do now.
Yeah.
And so, enjoyed that industry. Now I run a couple of successful real estate entities. And then I was on the Southlake School Board as a board of trustee, 2018 through 2021, which I sure enjoyed serving the community as a school board member. I enjoyed those times.
Terrific. Well, if somebody wants to learn more about you or get more information about your campaign, where can they go to get that information?
We've put together a useful website, electmattbryant.com.
Gotcha.
So electmattbryant.com, and we'll be sending out I'm sure some more information, but again, you can find my website, which also articulates who I am and what my plan is there as well.
Terrific. Well, Matt, thanks again for sitting down, and I wish you the best of luck in this election.
And again, thank you, Chandler.
Yep, you got it.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.